In 2025, South Africa's automotive sector faced a significant surge in safety interventions, with the National Consumer Commission reporting that over 50,000 vehicles have been recalled across the country. This recall rush reflects a global trend towards stricter safety monitoring and increasing complexity of modern vehicle software and hardware. Major manufacturers including Ford, Nissan, BMW, Volkswagen and Kia have all issued urgent notices this year, cited for defects ranging from critical mechanical failure to life-threatening safety system glitches. Motoring journalist Pogiso Dibakoane joins us for more. Pogiso, over 50,000 vehicles recalled this year alone. I mean, this is a worrying figure. Good to have you on the program this evening. But from your perspective, what does this reveal about the current state of quality control in the country's automotive industry?
Good evening, Nhlanhla. Thank you for having me. Well, look, recalls are part of the manufacturing industry because they are there to fix problems that may occur or problems that they find that things are going wrong. But if you look at what the NCCA has and the NCC has said, is that it's a bit problematic for them to wait for manufacturers to tell them that there is issues. Well, these vehicles, some of the recalls are older than what we have now. I mean, we're having vehicles that have to have recalls from 2015. I think the problem is that we need a bit of an active NCC. I think they're running a bit thin on technical abilities.
Yeah. The Automobile Association also describes the recall system as reactive rather than preventative. In simple terms, what would a preventative vehicle safety system look like in a country like South Africa?
Well, a country like ours, most of these vehicles get released a year early in where they are manufactured. So most of the OEMs can see the problems a year before we receive the vehicles. I think that should tell you that, look, some of these recalls can be done before even a client buys the vehicle. If the recall is a bit older, it can happen that, they should be able to see these technical issues before basically it gets out to the dealerships. I mean, if you look at the US market, there's so many lawsuits against manufacturers for cars that catches fire, cars that have brake issues. So we don't have such in South Africa. I think that's where the problem lies. And if you really think about it, I mean, if we're having these cars sold here, some of the cars that are sold here don't even have star ratings. So we bring in cars that can, for me, it can say that we're not bringing quality cars. I mean, one of the cars that doesn't have a star rating is one of the cars that are in the top sellers in South Africa. So that should tell you that there is a problem.
Yeah, there is a problem. Pogiso, many of these defects are only discovered years after vehicles have been sold. How serious is the risk, this delay, if you will? What does it pose to motorists, or the risk that it poses to motorists and other road users as well?
So, 50,000 it's a small number because if the 50,000 is recalls that are basically high risk recalls, there are more than that. There's technical recalls where things, engine recalls. So those you don't get to see, but there are more than 50,000 recalls in the market to be precise. But the risks, especially from Kia and I think it was Kia with the ABS systems, that is a risk. I mean, technically, I don't think it's only a fuse issue. I think it's more than that because a fuse can't just be the issue. Them replacing a fuse, it tells me that there's a technical issue. It's either with the ABS control unit or with the ABS itself. And remember, some of these manufacturers, they would try and make the costs to be a minimal. So they would try and basically fix the issues, not entirely fixing the problem.
Yeah.
And they would try and cover up some of these issues. I think there's more issues than what they're telling us. I mean, it cannot just be a fuse that's making the braking system not to work, and that is very high risk. The airbag issues from Tataka has been a long issue. It's over 15 years because Tataka manufactures airbags for most of the manufacturers of these vehicles. You get they are the supplier to be of airbags, and some of the airbags that they manufacture for these car companies are not up to standard. I mean, they find to say that there's a clip or dust, but we know for a fact that there is going to be a recall of airbags. I mean, clip or dust cannot just make an airbag not to deploy. So there is more problems than what they're telling us.
Yeah. Given that recalls rely heavily on manufacturers to identify and even report their own faults, are OEMs being held accountable enough, or is the system too dependent, especially on self-reporting?
I think the OEMs are not held accountable, especially in SA. I think we need to do a better job. I think the NCC needs to come up with systems that are a bit better. I mean, they're waiting for manufacturers to report on the problems. That's where I think that the problem lies. I mean, they should have a technical team that foresees these issues. There's better ways to also do recalls because some of the recalls used clients. We have a huge market of used cars. I mean, and some of these cars are owned by the bank. So it puzzles me all the time when they say people are not taking the call to come and do the recalls. I mean, we have the biggest dealer right now is We Buy Cars. Imagine if the NCC tells We Buy Cars that make sure that every vehicle that you sell has gone through a recall process. That should actually impact the recall position.
Yeah. Pogiso, as we wrap, South Africa does not have an independent automotive testing authority, from what I understand. How does this compare then with the international best practice? And what dangers does this gap really, what does it create locally?
So we in South Africa here, we use the European standards. So you have a star rating. So we allow cars that are being tested in the European market. And although that some of the cars that we receive, we put on the market in terms of safety tastings. I mean, take for instance an i10. It has a star rating of 1, which is very poor. So the star rating from European market works from 1 until 5, which 5 is an excellent star rating. So we're selling cars that have 1 or 2 star ratings. From a safety perspective, some of the cars that we put on the market are not really good cars to be on the road.
That was motoring analyst Pogiso Dibakoane helping us unpack what these recalls really mean for motorists and what needs to change to keep our roads safer as well.